But our profession goes much further than that. I mean, I think about our law enforcement and our firefighters, our first responders, if you will, as a group. You know, there are almost 20,000 separate, distinct police departments or organizations within our country. And they're bound by the laws of the state and the federal laws, but there isn't the commonality. There isn't the commonality that exists within the military structure. I mean, we can go anywhere in the world, and you can have an expectation that the airman, that the soldier, that the Marine, that the Navy personnel that you're dealing with is going to do the right thing. It's going to live to a certain standard that we expect. Because we don't have time to sniff each other out and figure out whether or not we're doing the right thing. I don't think there's any other profession that can say that. And so that goes without saying that as you youngsters that are about to go out into the Air Force or whatever services that you're going to be in, that there's a level of expectation that we expect, our nation expects that you're going to have to perform and lead our young men and women in service. But today we're here to talk about character and leadership. And that's really what I focus on. We understand inherently what character is. I mean, it's doing the right thing. It's being honest. It's being candid. It's having courage. It's having resiliency. It's a lot of things. But those things aren't easy. They aren't easy. If they were easy, then anybody could do it. They're not easy. And what I want to talk about is how do you continue to build your character. I mean, this institution has our country's invested a lot of time and energy into making sure that you have the character from being accepted to attend this institution, through the programs to make sure that you have the mettle, the capacity to stand up to the challenges that you're going to be faced. And without a doubt, everyone in here does have that capacity. But why is it that we fail sometimes? Why is it that we fall short? There are a number of reasons. So when I think about character, I think about what it is that we have to live up to every day. It's about being the best that we can be. Not being the best, because I'm not competing against anyone. I'm trying to live up to the best that I can be. I know what the standards are. I know what my expectations are. I understand what the mission is. I understand that I need to care, that I care about my team. And that I'm responsible for my team. And all the implied and unimplied tasks that are associated with living up to those expectations. That is a whole lot to do. And oh, by the way, you got a personal life. You have hobbies, you have other things that compete for your time, that compete for your talent. And so for me, it's really about staying in the moment. You see, on the football fields, 20 plus years ago for me, I had to learn to play the play that I was in. I couldn't play the play that the crowd roared. I couldn't play the play that I screwed up on. I couldn't replay the play that I may have done well. I had to play the play that's in front of me. Well, what did that teach me? That taught me about staying and living in the moment. can't live in the past and I can't live in the future. I can only live now. So what are the challenges of living in the now? Well, all of us, who in here doesn't have a plan? Who doesn't, you cadets, who doesn't think they have their future mapped out? At least the next 4 or 5 years. Raise your hand. Come on, I see all the plans. Hands go up because you guys got it down, right? You're smart, you're talented, and you're on the precipice of accomplishing a major accomplishment in your life. Why wouldn't you think you could have it all figured out? It wasn't my character. And why wasn't my character? Because that, I pushed myself. I had soldiers, I had my family, I had all those things that I had to live up to, that I was responsible for. And I hope and I pray that I lived up to those responsibilities. If you take the low road, if you take the easy road, if you're an individual that's trying to find the easy way out, just getting by, if those become your habits, then those become your character. And finally, I'd say this. Our character has consequence. Our habits have consequence. When you take the easy road, when you don't live up to the standard, it may not have consequence today. It may not have consequence tomorrow. But it will have consequence. Without a doubt, it will have consequence. And in our profession, the last thing that you want on your conscience is that you contributed to some failure that cost lives. We understand the inherent risk, and the enemy does have a vote. But we want to make sure that we have done our due diligence, that we have lived up to the standards, so that our men and women under us have the best chance of making it through the adversities that they're going to be facing. That's all we can ask for ourselves. And the only person, in my opinion, that can measure that as ourselves. We're the only ones that can look in the mirror and ask ourselves, did we do our best today? Did we live up to the best that we can be? It's a tough task, ladies and gentlemen. It's not meant to be easy. But it's the basis of character. It's the basis of leadership. It's the basis of our professions, that we hold ourselves accountable. And what does that accountability mean? Not getting by because somebody didn't catch us or someone wasn't looking, but it's living up to the best that we can be. I think that as a leader, if I could do it a little bit better, I think I would show a little bit more of myself, smile a little bit more, have a little bit more fun. This is hard work that we do, and we ask so much of our service members and our families. And one of the things that we don't, I think, do as leaders is we don't let our sleeves down enough, and we really don't. We're a different society, but we got to find times and opportunities to really learn about each other and experience each other. And sometimes that can be at the sacrifice of some of the other things that are impressed in our lives. If I could be a better leader early on, I think leadership in life is about balance. I believe it's about balance. You know, there's a lot of competing priorities in life. But as a junior officer, I didn't have very good balance. And my family paid a price for that balance. You know, me being around my kids, that paid there was a price to pay. And oftentimes our families are the ones that pay the biggest sacrifice in that. Look, if you work hard, life is, I relate a lot of things to football. You got offense, you got defense, and you got special teams. And it takes all three, you got to win in all three phases to win. And in life, you got to have balance in all three phases, your personal life, your professional life, and your spiritual life, whatever balance, whatever you got to have balance. So before I answer your question, I was born in Oklahoma City, and my college football coach, Tim Kish, is a linebacker coach for Oklahoma, so I go to Oklahoma games. So where do I find my inner strength, and what was the other set? My passion. So my passion is photography. My escorts have probably noticed me stopping and taking pictures all the time, but I get great passion. It's almost like maybe someone likes to read or something to write. My passion is photography, and it brings a certain peace and balance to my life. And inner strength, I think it starts, a lot of it starts with, obviously your upbringing and your family. And I certainly, through example, gain a lot of strength and perspective from my parents. They're no longer with me, but they grew up in the segregated South, and I had to endure experiences that I fortunately never had to endure. And the thing that was most impressive about them enduring those experiences, particularly my father, was there was never any hate. There was never any malice. I mean, he had every right to harbor ill feelings to the people that didn't do the right thing. And he provided a great example for me in perspective from there. And I think that those experiences that he shared with me provided me perspective, provided me example. And then I must acknowledge my faith. My God tells me that he will never give me more than I can handle. And so if I take that on faith, no matter how bad it gets, I just got to keep fighting. I got to know that I can come out the other side, and that's what I believe. And it's not that I don't have doubts. It's not that I don't have fears and concerns, because I have, and I suppose I will. But I can come back to that. I can come back to that promise. I can come back and take that on faith. That if I have it, I walk by faith and not by sight, that I'll get through.